It's nerve-wracking for a composer. You spend a year or two working on a piece, and that's quite an isolated experience. We're in our studio by ourselves. We're working maybe at our piano or in our heads. And so that first day of rehearsal is intimidating and a bit nerve-wracking. You know it's going to be okay, but you haven't heard it yet. I'm Emilie Lebel. I'm the Composer Advisor at the Toronto Symphony. And my piece, The Sediments, was recorded as part of the TSO's Miraculous Mandarin recording that's coming out with Harmonia Mundi. The inspiration behind The Sediments was a book by Rachel Carson, who was an environmentalist, and she wrote a very important book in 1962, The Silent Spring. There was a particularly beautiful quote in the book about sediments in the earth and how the sediments are sort of like a history book of everything that's happened on Earth and how all that is still here today. There's all these layers of sedimentation. History, not just in terms of myself or in terms of humans, but like the entire legacy of the Earth. So I really wanted to incorporate some of those ideas sonically. One of the percussionists waves a piece of paper in the air to sort of create this like fluid flapping sound. One of the other percussionists using an ocean drum. In other parts of the orchestra, more of like a sort of conceptual idea of what movement of water would be or the weight of rocks and sand moving. Preparing this recording's been quite special in a number of ways. It encapsulates everything I learned while I was learning to write for orchestra and encapsulates, I think, a lot of the experiences I drew from working with the musicians here. And it was also the second time the orchestra played this piece. A really nice moment to be able to come back to a piece. That doesn't always happen with orchestral music. You spend a year or two writing a piece and it gets premiered and maybe played that week with an orchestra, but there's no guarantees that your piece will ever be played again somewhere else. That aspect was particularly special to me, that I have this relationship with the orchestra and getting to work with them again. For anyone who's a composer, Bartók is a very towering figure in the repertoire, and most of us early on in our studies studied a lot of Bartók. Silly to say it's an honor, but it is. We don't always get to have our music on a CD with a composer who had a profound impact on your journey as a composer. The future is very bright for Canadian music. There's a lot of interest in the field. There's a lot of really exciting young composers writing really excellent music that want to go study, that want to go work with orchestras. Orchestras across Canada and contemporary music ensembles are still doing concerts and presenting this music because it's important and it deserves a space.